Hello guys, welcome to today's video on the Rogue Zm1 trucks. This is my 1 year of owning them. Yes, it's already been a whole year, bro. 2024 has just flown by, and honestly, good fucking riddance. It was a shit year. Anyway, apologies for the colorful language, but what can I say? 2024 was a trash year, and credit where credit is due. Anyway, yeah, I just want to update you guys on how I feel about these trucks after about a year of owning them, how I've finally dialed them in, the things I've had trouble with, and all things of that sort of nature. As well, enjoy this video, savor it. They're going to be few and far between. These days, we're doing podcasts. Podcasts are the cool thing. It's what all the cool kids are doing. Already have a couple podcasts. I recently interviewed Diego Ponsolet, said some very interesting things. I learned some interesting stuff as well. So do go check it out. But yeah, I'm very lazy. Podcasts are easier to make than videos. But yeah, so that's why we're doing more of them. So if you've been sort of following the channel for a while, it's kind of weird for me to, be on one product for a really long time and not complain as much about it. But I've actually really been satisfied with these trucks over the last couple months, the last year that I've been on them, that I don't really look at other downhill trucks or anything like that. Like, I'm loyal, man. Like, that shit's so tight, so gushy. Like, I don't want to think about anything else. Anyway, I'm sorry, that was inappropriate. So after a year of owning them, am I happy? Answer is yes. But what are some things that you should know about before you buy these trucks? So number one is the maintenance. They're actually very low maintenance trucks. Like, if you skate quite often, maybe you maintain them, once a month. You'll sort of take the insert spherical out and the insert pivot out. Okay, can't take the insert pivot out, but you'd clean them maybe once a month, pour in some lubricant. I've been using some lubricant that I've had since 2015. It was for some bike chain grease, and it's expired. But these things haven't yet exploded, so I guess it's all good. But yeah, the maintenance is very easy, way easier than Ronin's. And also, just like taking them apart is also way easier than other trucks. It is kind of annoying. It is a bit of work with having to get like the spherical out of the hanger, but you do quickly get used to that. The other thing to do with maintenance is that you're going to have to replace your bushings every 6 months to about 12 months, depending on how frequently you skate them. Now, with these trucks, I kind of feel like they work bushings harder than other trucks do because after a couple of months, your bushings are going to lose a little bit of rebound, and they're also going to have they're going to be squished a little bit, so they're going to be slightly smaller, which then throws off the geometry of these trucks a little bit, and you do have to replace them. So every 6 months to 12 months, like when your performance of these trucks starts to feel a little bit weird, I do recommend switching out your bushings. So yeah, that's as far as maintenance goes. Otherwise, like, dude, very simple, very straightforward trucks, which I really like. So let me quickly talk about setup. So there actually is a specific way to set these trucks up. For the longest time, I had them set up on this board. And the setup I had was I had them set up symmetrical width. I was using a pink barrel roadside in the front truck, so 55/20, with a smaller flat washer. And I felt like it gave me like pretty decent performance. But what ended up happening, I took this setup to some real hills finally, bro. Like, or at least rather to some stuff that I wasn't used to, because like it performed super well on the stuff, all the stuff I was used to. But when I took them to some real, not okay, some new hills, there was some holes in how they performed. So I had to go back to the drawing board a little bit, and shout out to Julian Sherman for guiding me a little bit. But yeah, so how I had them set up before, I had the footstop set up super far forward. I had that bushing set up. I had them set up on a 20-inch wheelbase. And the problems I had with this setup specifically is that sometimes, especially with toe sides, I felt like I didn't have all that much control. Like, it was really hard to get to the limit, or I'd get to the limit really quickly. Like, it wasn't really that fine tuned. And that gave me some issue on some toe side corners when I went out some of those new hills. I think what happened on the hills that I was used to, I knew the perfect place to do an entry slide, or the perfect place to start turning in, best way to apex. Like, I knew everything was dialed in already for me. So like I couldn't really see what was wrong with my board. It's kind of like the Red Bull sort of car from last year. Like, I'm Max Verstappen. I am so good at like the things I'm used to, but like when you take it somewhere new, like, you know, you guys wouldn't understand. Formula One fans, yeah, you get it, yeah, you get it, yeah, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, and I had it set up on symmetrical width, but now with what Julian Sherman advised me and what I also saw Harry Clark, Zach Matum, Owen Fox, I think maybe even Adrian and even Stefano as well were running, I was able to dial it in a little bit better. But for my home sport, even stand up skating, I felt this setup was so, so good. But this other new setup is actually way better. So, yeah. Okay, let me quickly tell you how all this is set up, and then I'll tell you how I think each individual part affects the performance. So the front truck, I'm now running a blue cone in the front. So that's 78A, 78A board side as well. If you guys know what the setups are, then good for you. I'm running a narrow width in front, so 100 millimeters. And in the back, I'm running the stock bushing setup, but I'm running it wider at 110 millimeters, I believe. But what's different about this is that I've cranked it quite a bit down to eliminate that dead zone. You guys know, if you've seen the other review, that they do have a little bit of a dead zone. I don't know if all trucks have this, but yeah, they do have a bit of a dead zone. So I've cranked them down to eliminate that. Also, when you do use new bushings, you're going to have to monitor how the backtrack is from session to session, because when they're brand new and you crank them down, and as they break in over time, they get a little bit smaller and smaller, so you have to crank them down a little bit session to session to get that sweet spot. So yeah, do consider that. And then in the front, what I've done that's been a little bit different from my other setup, is I've moved my footstop back from, thanks to the advice of Adrian Plinell or Frenchie. So now I'm standing farther away from my front truck. Now, if you watch the Zm1 review, you remember that I said that I didn't like the blue cone because it kind of felt like there was less of like it was harder to sort of control and balance them and keep them sort of leaned over. They'd kind of want to dive a little bit more aggressively than I'd like. But that's also because I had my footstop very far forward and I was very much on top of the front truck. So every little input got reflected by the front truck when it had the blue cone setup. But when I used the pink barrel setup, it felt a little bit better. But that didn't totally eliminate the issue. So when I went to new hills, I then, going faster through some corners or having to skate new corners, I then felt the weakness of the front truck sort of overreacting to my input or not reacting enough because like my foot wasn't in a specific position, etc. But with this, with having moved my footstop back, I get a great center point from the front truck because that is a 78A bushing after all. But when I do dive, I still get a lot of great reaction from the front truck because it is a cone bushing. But it is a bit more controlled because I'm a bit farther away from the front truck and I have slightly less leverage. But when I do want to dive aggressively, the truck does react to my aggressive input and does turn a lot. So in the end, what I get in terms of performance is a truck that turns a lot from the front, but because of the wider sort of setup in the back, it trucks really, really well in corners. I have tried it with a slightly narrower truck in the back, 100 millimeters, and 100 millimeters in front. But what that gave me is that the back truck sort of wants to brake traction a little bit more, and it's a little bit harder to ride at the limit. So now with this setup, I can skate at the limit a little bit better. I will say, however, sometimes with hillside, it does feel a little bit weird, but I guess that's something I just need to get used to. I will say another caveat is that I actually haven't taken this setup out to any proper big hills like I did with the other setup. So maybe there's some issue. Maybe I'll have to make an apology video. So we shall see. Hopefully not. I'm terrible. No, I'm actually good at apologies. I'm actually very good at apologies. But I don't think you guys want to see me crying, playing a little ukulele or whatever. Anyway, um, and despite all that, this board is actually very, very amazing for stand-up skating. When I do want to switch to stand-up skating, I switch the width of the rear truck to make it no, sorry, the width of the front truck to make it wider. So then I have symmetrical widths of 110 millimeters and 110 millimeters in the back. I use slightly narrow wheels like the Venom Cannibals. I love the 7088 Cannibals. They've been so good, and this board skates super super well. With the back truck cranked down as much as it is, I get a great center point in the back, and with the front truck using that blue code, I also get a great center point. But also, I also get a lot of leverage for toe sides, which is something I had an issue with the pink barrel bushing in the other truck. Um, and that's why I had to go with the smaller washer. So I got a little bit more leverage out of it. But now with this, I get great leverage, and holding toe side stand ups are really easy. I don't have any footage, guys. I'm very sorry. I've mostly been skating for fun recently. Wow, this is going to 5 minutes. What a monologue. Yeah, so the reason I went for that deck was because it's 8.7 inches in width, and I thought that that would be the sweet spot for me and for my riding style. And actually, like with the pink barrel bushing, it was actually pretty sick for stand up. So there's that. But I think because of how wide it was, I was getting a lot of overhang and I was over leveraging my trucks. And what that showed up was is that when I was going faster at the new spots, when I was going over Chanda and stuff like that, like I felt a little bit more instability than I would have if I had proper rail matching. I think I was just over inputting into the trucks because I had too much leverage, and that gave me a little bit of instability, and maybe that also contributed to my lack of confidence in like two side corners. But I don't know all that much. Anyway, so this truck is actually this board rather is 8.3 inches where my toes go, and about 8.7 where my heels go, and about 8.6 where my rear foot goes as well. And I don't know. I don't know, bro. Like I think I just have to accept. I don't think I know much about dialing in boards and widths and all that. I think it's a black magic. I think because I tried the Rocket Rhino race tail, which had perfect rail matching with the Magnums, and I didn't like how that performed. So I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know anything. So yeah, that's what I'll admit. 2025. Daniel Iseli from Rocket Longboards, teach me your ways, as well as any other deck manufacturer that has anything they want to tell me. So all that years worth of riding that board, that year's worth of riding that board, 12 months, has just brought me back to the Rocket Rhino. So in conclusion, the Rocket Rhino is the best downhill deck ever. Amazing. Awesome. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. So yeah, do try your Zm1 setup that way. See if you get any performance benefits. Maybe it'll cure some of the issues you're having with it. A key thing for me was moving my footstop back a little bit, and that helped a bunch. Um, but yeah, also another key thing is having a fat torque block in the back. It solved some other issues for me, which are related to that deck, but I'll talk about them in another video. Anyway, thanks for watching, getting this far. Sorry for monologuing so much. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I've probably missed something, so check out the comments, leave a like, and say something nice for me. Cheers, man.